I'm a Libra and I'm having a hard time with
I'm a
balance.
Libra too, me too. Sorry about that.
You
can finish
do
while I'm
I'll do
talking.
the other side later.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I want to mention something too in regards to the beauty line. I don't go too specific with the beauty line, and really, to be honest with you guys, that whenever companies send me products to endorse, to recommend, when it comes to the supplements, right here, when it comes to cosmetics and beauty line, my darling wife, I say, okay, you tell me, because I don't have the patience to do it all the time. I don't. So she'll tell me a yay or a nay. The big thing about what I would bring up with beauty line is that we have the NTC process. So whatever ingredients are in the cosmetics are going to be totally absorbed on the cellular level, even through the skin. And the other factor too, that we're all using organic plants and herbs that they use. You know, Randy had mentioned about pineapple, okay, the pineapple extract. There was something on the internet a few days ago about a study on what products are heavily involved with GMO, genetically modified. And 90% of the pineapple grown in the United States and also into Costa Rica and bananas, okay, are genetically modified. So these are these little things. So if somebody's saying, well, you know, there's a lot of cosmetic products out there. This is another Me Too. Well, show me one that's using all organic plants, fruits, vegetables, whatever it's been used, and the ability to have that NTC process. That's me there.
Again, not to be a stickler, but is it certified organic?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. You know, when I make Dr.
They have that certification that they ran it through an agency where they actually have that certified.
That costs a lot of money too.
So they do have. Okay,
Yes.
that's great.
It costs a lot of money to get this
Oh,
stuff
it does,
done.
yeah.
It also costs a lot of money to go to the University of Cologne with your products. And they have, I don't know how many products they have, but I think it's like $1,000 or $1,500 each year for each product for them to, okay.
Sorry, so just if it's certified organic, then we can, for me, I know some people it's too much information, we can say grown without herbicides or pesticides.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
One step further, the certification is actually non-GMO, which is, for those of us who don't understand, is better than organic. So all the products now contain the non-GMO label that are contained, they're on each of the products.
Okay.
Well, let's go,
Yeah.
wait. Let's go more specific. Let's go more specific. There's a difference between non-GMO and it could be garbage if you spray with pesticides.
Right.
These are certified organic. So the
Right.
plants, the fruits, and the vegetables that they're using in the fit line and cosmetics. In regards to the power cocktails, that's your question? When I had the time to spend with Dr. Kuhn, I told him that when I take the Activise, you know, I don't like that nice and flush. I don't like the way it feels on me. So he whispers in my ear, he says, when we come out with the power cocktail, we're going to reduce the amount of niacin. And it's basically going to be what's in the basic, in fact, the new basic, which has a little more curcumin in it. So for me, that combination is great. And yes, that's something that I recommend. For the kids, when they're little, I have mixed feelings with the Activise by itself. With the power cocktail, they can get the nutrients they need from the basic and also get that less amount of niacin in the Activise. It makes them more comfortable. Yes, sir.
What does the niacin do to you?
It gives a flush, and opens up the capillaries, okay, which allows,
For the common Joe,
there's some people get high with that flush, they like that
Yeah,
flush feeling
yeah,
because it gives more energy and it allows more oxygen to be flown through. Okay. It's part of the B complexes. Okay.
It's not adversary, there's no adverse health effect to it, it's actually great, it's just some
Right.
people don't like the feeling of it.
Or look, walk around
Yeah,
looking red.
And the guys like us, we show the red in our
Some
face.
people makes them itch, some people makes them all red.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
With your concern about mixed feelings as to when to start children on it, what age do you recommend the Activise for the young athletes? Middle school, high school, Activise.
Okay, for middle school, like 7th or 8th grader?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, typical 13, 14, 15 year old?
Yes.
You can do a scoop.
Yeah, a scoop? Okay.
Now, hold that thought, because
Yes.
when we get into the fitness drink,
Uh-huh.
that's the ones that I would really kick into.
Okay.
So let's do a little bit of history on the effects of intestinal disorders, because, you know, I was taught by some old-time naturopaths that are long gone, many years ago, that everything starts within the colon. If the colon is healthy, the blood is healthy, and if the blood is healthy, the skin is healthy. And just the opposite, if we have colon, digestive disorders, it's gonna come out through the blood, and it's also gonna come out through the skin, okay? And, excuse me, dermatitis, psoriasis, a lot of the things that happen all start within the colon. So what happens is we have digestive disorders, as I mentioned, nutritional deficiency, we're not able to absorb our nutrients, whether it's through our supplements or through our foods. Okay? Increased sensitivity, food sensitivity, chronic fatigue, headache, allergies, okay, unclean skin. I'll tell you a little story. I'll put a little plug in my book, why not? I have a book called the ADD and ADHD Diet Book. It's been a bestseller for many years.
I read it, it was amazing.
And you didn't have to pay her either, right?
Most people know why I read it, hello?
And so I have a quote from a very dear friend of mine who's a holistic pediatrician down in Miami, Florida. In fact, he gave me another quote from my Gluten-Free book. And he was telling me, this was a long time ago, that what happens with babies, and we're going back a little bit with babies, is that either the mother is not breastfeeding or she's just breastfeeding for a short period of time and the baby starts getting put on food, on cereal. Okay, and their intestines, their whole digestive system is not even set up yet, and it's way too soon. And he said a lot of times it's like a time bomb. It could kick out with food allergies, food sensitivity, maybe at 10 years old, or 30 years old, or 40, or even 50 or 60 years old. So a lot of these problems sometimes stem from the fact that at birth it happened. I mean, I go back to the days of Dr. Spock, and Dr. Spock said all these things about doing regular milk. Soy milk wasn't around in those days, but regular milk. My wife didn't breastfeed, and because she had allergies, which today that's not a problem. This is the old school. And we put the kids on cereal as soon as possible at 4 or 6 weeks. Okay, and that just sets up a lot of different things. And then with dairy, my daughter had inner ear infections for a long time, and that's because of the dairy, because of the milk. So you guys are lucky. I just want to mention something too, because when I was sitting there, and Johnny was talking about the apps, okay, I'm 74 years young, and I really take care of myself, and I've really learned how to slow down the aging process. When my man over here is talking about apps, it's going like this. I'm just beginning to learn how to text, because that's the only way, the mic will respond to me. And I text very slowly, and I feel like I'm old school. So I'm really fortunate. I mean, God's really blessed me. I had a nice practice in LA, retired, I have several best-selling books, so I have my own little residuals coming in. And I don't do this for the money, believe me. I don't need it. I really don't. I love the product, and he knows me for a long time, that when I get passionate, and was passionate with his other company too, that I want to spread the word. And my wife says, well, you're tired. Just shut your mouth. You don't have to say anything. I can't help it. I've learned so much information, and I give it freely. And I've learned to do this, which is difficult sometimes, is to give it freely with no strings attached. So here's what I suggest. This is what you do. Rock and roll. Go down the road, whatever you want to do. So I'm here to spread the word, in regards to the Fit Line. And then when I mentioned earlier why I endorse this, because I really love the products. I love the way they work. I love the fact that it's all clean. And somebody had asked about GMP. Their plant in Germany is GMP certified. I don't know if that question was answered correctly or not. And there's really only 5%. Okay.
5% in the world.
In the world.
What's the difference between German GMO and American GMO? Because if you notice, all of our stamps say non-GMO based on German standards. What are the difference between their standards and ours? Somebody needs to answer that right now.
Anyway, as we move on, we'll ask the better.
I would think they're higher, yeah, that was
So
my
what
question.
Okay, what happens with these are the little villi. These are the little finger-like projectiles that come out from the small intestines. And what happens because of all these different factors, and maybe even as a child of things, they end up collapsing and end up weakening. And this is where we absorb the majority of the nutrients. What the NTC, the nutrient transport concept, basically does two major factors. It probably does other things, but I'm just going to focus on the first two. It actually revitalizes and rejuvenates the villi, the little finger-like projectiles, which now allows the nutrients to be absorbed into the cells. And when they're weak, when they're unhealthy, they're not gonna absorb as much. Is that a question you just put me?
How does this apply to chemicals that might be in the body, say Agent Orange and things like that? Can you kind of address that a little
I'm
bit?
talking about toxic chemicals,
Yeah.
the NTC process?
Yeah, how does it affect it? Like, I'm one of those exposures, so I'm really interested in knowing that, how that affects my body in terms of where it's been and things that it's gone through.
Well, as it's bringing its nutrients into the cells, okay, it's gonna create, amongst the different products I'm gonna talk about, it's gonna create a pH balance, it's gonna help detoxify, if that's what you're asking me, you know, pulling out the toxins and helping strengthen the immune system and keeping those cells nice and strong and healthy, if that's what you're asking.
You mean will it help the toxins get to the cellular
Yeah,
level?
because mine has been there for some years now. I'm a Vietnam exposure person.
Welcome home.
Yeah, and those are the things that I know quite a few vets have been challenged with. The chemicals that's there, you know, how do we work at getting it out of our system other than taking out the medication that they want to feed us?
First, I can help you afterwards, brother, because I was there and I was a case on.
Okay.
I know everything about Agent Orange, the
Okay.
corpsman there. Some of these products will help pull that out. In fact, I wrote a whole article many years ago about Agent Orange and Gulf War syndrome and nutrients. Oh, no chills. Anyways, so in regards to, it revitalizes and rejuvenates the villi, the little finger-like projectiles in the small intestines, strengthens them, and allows the nutrients to be absorbed. What is so cool about the NTC process is not only is it helping with the fit line products to be absorbed, okay, it's going to help you with other supplements that you're taking also. It's also going to help you the other foods that we're taking. So even though, you know, I hear people tell me, oh, I eat healthy, I don't need to take supplements, you know, I do this, I do that. You know, when I start asking specific questions and actually maybe even a history of, you know, their health, it's going to tell me that they may be eating healthy. I mean, a great example is people eat a lot of protein. I'm a gym rat, so I go quite a bit, and people will say, well, I eat a lot of this protein. That's great. You know, how much are you absorbing? I feel good. You know, how are you breaking down the protein to the peptides, to the amino acid, to the polypeptides? How are you breaking that down? Do you take digestive enzymes? No. Well, then you can be taking 30, 40, 50, 60 grams a day. In fact, there's some diets that they talk about the protein, but you need to break it down. So, in the basic, we're going to have the digestive enzymes, so I'm going to have it. So. The other thing that excuse me, the NTC nutrient transport concept does is called this Microsoft technology. This is really cool. It has the ability to take our fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, fat solubles. Your omega-3 is what it adds CoQ10. And what it does is, with the fat-soluble vitamins, it actually breaks apart the molecules. And people have tried the CoQ10 to do all that, and you notice when you put the drops in the water how it doesn't just like an oil-based thing, it just dissolves, because it takes those fat molecules that are really tight aggregated, and they separate themselves enough so that they just dissipate into the water. So, what was it? Was one condition with Parkinson's. They need to take a certain amount of CoQ10, and there was a study done. As opposed to taking, say, like 30 or 40 capsules of CoQ10, they could take, what is it, 18 drops for the CoQ10? And that would almost equal to like 20 to, actually 30 to 40 capsules, because you're getting the absorption of the NTC and you're breaking down the fat molecules.
I have a health question.
Health question?
Yeah. Would the NTC concept, would that actually, if you don't have a large intestine, because I've also replaced, I don't have large intestine, so things go through me pretty quickly, would the absorption still be there as anybody else, or would that affect that?
Well, you're going to be building up the villi in the small intestines, correct?
What's that?
Oh, you didn't hear me.
No.
I
Sorry.
can't control it.
Well, no, I looked at her beautiful face and I went, oh my God, she was a client. That's what I said.
Did you hear my answer?
Nope, because I was talking. I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm out.
Squirrel.
It's going to help revitalize. Let's go back to the small intestines, the little thing like projectiles, the villi. As it strengthens that, then you'll be able to absorb the nutrients. Yes.
So in the CoQ10 product you talked about then too, so it's put in, so it is put into a base where it has the oil base, so it's broken down properly and can be absorbed through the
Right.
bilayer of the cell.
Right. And that's an important thing too, because there was, when I heard about that, I started Googling information about fat-soluble vitamins.
Yeah.
And only, thank you, man.
And I haven't looked at all the ingredients yet, so that's why.
When I take, say for example, I'm taking vitamin E capsule, okay? You know, well, maybe I'm gonna take 400 IUs. I'm only gonna absorb maybe about 30%, because the fat soluble, our body is made out of water. Just keep it simple. Our body's made out of water, and we need to break it down. And when we take a fat soluble whatever, it's gonna have a very difficult time breaking it down. So what I would need to take, I would need to take more as opposed to taking with the drops where it has the NTC process. Yes, sir.
So essentially, as you're saying, is the volume of stuff that you put into your body, if it's fat soluble, because the body's made of water, it needs a catalyst to go ahead and make that fat be able to blend with the water in your body.
The other expression that I love to say, more is not better. And that's the other thing I love about too, because, you know, we talk about economics and people trying to save some money. The fact that they don't have to take as much minerals or as many vitamins or omega-3s or whatever because of the process, it really cuts down quite a bit. And that's pretty much what I was talking about with the Microsoft, because when it breaks up those fat molecules, it's able to be absorbed a little bit easier. Mike already talked about that, basic, okay. Any questions in regards to the basic? Because I know I touched a little bit, even though I wasn't supposed to say anything earlier. Any questions on the basic? Well, one guy tells me one thing, another guy tells me something else. Who do I listen to?
Mike.
But he's bigger than Mike, so
Well, you know that go into, maybe with them, go into the prebiotic and probiotic, and what the prebiotic is versus a probiotic. That would be a good thing.
when I say probiotics, I'm talking about friendly bacteria. So let's say that nasty word candida. I know ladies, every lady raise their eyes when I say candida. Most ladies, and us guys, we get it too. It's called a different name. Okay. Has anybody ever had the fact they wake up in the morning with a coating on their tongue? That's a candida coming from the lower intestines, and that's the flora fauna is imbalanced. The bad guys, there are more bad guys than good guys. So the candida grows, and it grows right up and grows into the tongue. In my ADD book, we actually have some studies where some children had candida in the brain. And that's usually when the mom was pregnant, carrying the baby, and the little one picked up candida. So it's very important, probiotics are very important, that we need to get that balance. And if we have, or if we're taking steroids or antibiotics, okay, that's going to, anti means against biotics, so the bacteria, so it's gonna destroy some of the friendly bacteria, so we need to raise that up. So probiotics is very important. And somebody's gonna say probably, well, I have yogurt. You know, I'm not a big believer of that, even quote unquote the goat yogurt. There's sugar in it, you know, there's all the other stuff that's added with it. But we can find a real good healthy probiotic, and they're using a different form of acidophilus, a newer form that's different than the other basic, gets more absorption. Inulin is considered a prebiotic, and that helps set up, you know, the colon. So we're getting this balance within the stomach and the colon area. And again, notice we're focusing on that area. Okay? Digestive enzymes are very, very important. Again, to repeat myself, the plant organic digestive enzymes. So we need proteins to break the protein down. We need amylase to break down the starch, lipase, you know, the fat, lactase, you know, for the dairy. To have this, the first thing in the morning, what a great way, you know, I'm a huge believer of preventive medicine, I really am. I'm also a believer of slowing down the aging process, you know, no extra charge for that. So if we can start off the morning with something that's very healthy, that is so clean, vegans can use it, okay? Type 2 diabetics can use it. To get the little ones to help strengthen their immune system. I mean, my little kid inside me, I love the flavor of it. I love the flavor. And I was talking to this young lady that was sitting there. She's not there now, but she was there earlier. And she was saying some people, you know, claim that they don't feel anything. And I love when somebody says that, and I say, you know what? Tell them not to take it for a few days. And all of a sudden they're jonesing for it, right? Wow, I missed that. Whatever that stuff was, I missed that. And usually it's the basic or the activize or even the restorate, especially at nighttime. When I'm not sleeping well, the restorate just kicks in so well. So the basic is a great way to start off with the little ones in school. You know, you guys, well, we have it down in Florida too, you know, the flu season kicks in. It's actually kicked in already, so the little ones are already sick. And then, you know, people say, well, you know, I teach second grade, and I go, great. You guys are the ones that maybe need to take a double shot of the basic to help build up the immune system so you don't get it from the little kids. So start that off the first thing in the morning. For the older people, first thing in the morning. It's just a great way of combining getting my nutrients, my vitamin A, my vitamin C, okay, vitamin E with selenium, fiber. I'm going to get some good fiber. Start getting some of that digestive system going. Now, as long as we're talking about that a little bit, I just want to do a little disclaimer. It's so important that you know who your customers are. Okay. I mean, there are some people that have been constipated for years. I don't know if you know the story about John Wayne when they did an autopsy on John
33
Wayne.
pounds. It's horrible.
Okay, so sometimes you have to go slow with some people. For a lot of us, we can just rock and roll and go in there and just take a shot in the basic and be okay. But because they're so deficient, they're not probably taking any fiber at all or any movement at all. The paralysis is probably. Then all of a sudden they're going to be calling you. What did you do? I'm on the toilet for 3 days. You know, this stuff is killing me. I've done this. I've had calls for years. You know, for all the different products that I've talked about. And I always say, go slow, get to know your people, and if they seem to be okay, you know, go ahead and do that, at least for the basic.
What would you recommend if I did have that happen to my friend? Do you think she should start with just little bits at a time?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, and I think so often we live such an unhealthy lifestyle that once we start to live a healthy lifestyle, our body responds to it. You know, if we get up and drink a 2-liter of Pepsi and eat some donuts every morning, and we stop doing that, our body will respond to that in a very negative way with a migraine and nauseous. And people don't get that. You know what I mean?
It's withdrawal.
Sure.
Maybe
Most
you could
peop-
talk
most of
about
us-
detoxification, probably.
Right.
Right.
Most of us living here on this planet are loaded with toxins, sorry to say. No matter how healthy, unless you're not breathing the air or drinking the water or doing anything, okay, we're loaded with toxins. And it's a constant battle to try to limit those toxins, especially add a little more, no extra charge of Agent Orange, where we came from. So to be able to take something, start off the first thing in the morning, okay, it's going to help create a very slight, I'd say very, very slight healing crisis. So for most of us, it seems to be okay. For some of us, it may affect it. That's why I say always talk to your people first.
Questions?
No, you're fine.
Michael, just talking about clientele, I work with a lot of special needs kids
Mhm.
and families. And of course, digestion is like a huge
Oh, absolutely.
issue with
Right.
most of them. Sleeping, focus, you know, a whole gamut. Now, with these products, I mean, some of them, of course, you can't give to younger kids, like the Activize and that kind of thing. But the basics, would that, I mean, be something that I could recommend for that
Most
clientele? Age, is there an age that you know, say yay, no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Depends, you know, if they're little, like a year or 2 years, so you want to proportion it down a little, right?
but like preschool up, that's pretty much my main.
You know, if they're 5, 6, 7 years old, a package of the basic would be fine. And the Activize, I would cut that down to maybe like a half or a quarter. Brought up a good thing. I was on the cooking channel about a week and a half ago, and it was on my gluten-free book. And the host started asking me questions about special need kids because they definitely need to get off of the gluten diet. And one of the distributors, Lisa Marie, who's down in St. Pete's, she and I work out together. She was on the show, and we talked a little about for special needs. And thank you for that, because you reminded me of that. So while we were cooking, and we were cooking a meal, or the host was cooking a meal, we talked about special need kids and how important it is, and we talked about the basic, and we talked about the Activize, just kept it simple. Because it's really important for them, because they do have a lot of colon and stomach disorders, you know, whether it's Down syndrome or autism, Asperger's.
Don't you think the Restorate would be more beneficial too, because that, if that's gonna remove the toxins, most of special needs children
You're
are on
jumping ahead, girl,
medicine.
jumping ahead,
And
girl.
most of my
Okay.
special needs children, I was thinking that is like the
Okay, so let's
biggest
move on.
thing right
Oxygen,
now.
we need we lack oxygen, tiredness, quickly exhausted, lower resistance, faster aging. I used to do microscopy. Anybody familiar with microscopy? Doing live blood analysis. And I did it many years ago. I think I've done a lot of stuff. And what I would find for a lot of people is that their blood cells would be all aggregated, all clumped together. And they weren't getting the free-flowing red blood cells. And this is where the oxygen and the iron and red blood cells are just flowing nice and freely. Thanks for coming.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. And they have the ability to be able to raise the oxygen level, the ability to allow these red blood cells to flow nice and freely is really important. And there's a big, big difference. And that's where the Activize comes in. B complexes are really interesting, and I'm going to jump a little bit with this too. And Doc, you mentioned this too. Amino acids need to be taken in combination. Minerals need to be taken in combination, and B complexes need to be taken in combination, unless there's a therapeutic need. And a real good example is like with trace minerals. You know, I believe in taking trace minerals together, and then we'll talk about the Restorate. And if a guy is having a situation that he needs more zinc, I'll tell him to take extra zinc for about 30 days just to bring that level up a little bit, and then continue taking with the trace minerals that's going to have all the zinc. And the same thing with B complex. Now, I'm not a believer of B12 shots, really not. I believe that unless somebody's really deficient, they're really anemic, and they need to do it right then and there, if there's other sources, chlorophyll would be a better source for me for anemic. That's just my opinion. So I like the B complexes when they're all combined together. Again, synergistically, they just work. When they combine, synergistic means that they combine and they work much better. Taking a vitamin, taking a mineral by itself, unless it's a therapeutic need, when you take it together with other different vitamins and different minerals, they're going to work much, much better.
In fact, with that.
And then Vinny even told me it helps him with memory and concentration last time. I remember that.
Huh?
You didn't say hearing.
Doctor, I just had a quick question. And with that in mind, I didn't, forgive me, because I haven't looked at the ingredients and how much is there, okay? So and a point that you made, which is really good, is the amount of B complex and the different nutrients, are they sectioned out to show how much that they're getting, or is it just, here's what's in it, and they don't give, is it a breakdown of?
I think there's a breakdown.
Yeah.
There's a breakdown. But again, it's not going to be 50 milligrams of B6. It doesn't have to be that high of a potency.
Right.
Because we're doing less is better. So because the NTC process is going to have less amounts.
Okay, yeah, it's there. Okay, great, good.
And that's important too. And thanks for bringing that up, because I know a lot of people, they're going to look and go, oh wait, that's only 200 milligrams of calcium. This stuff's not going to work. It is really important to preface the NTC process. Okay. Now you're going to get absorption rate of almost 100% of X amount of B complex, X amount of minerals, as opposed to taking, let me jump over. All right, I'll stay there. Like with the Restorate, because a lot of times women are told by their doctors they need to take 1,500, 2,000 milligrams of calcium. Sometimes they're not even told to take anything with magnesium. What happens is if their pH balance is off and the nutrients are not being absorbed and the villi is not being healthy, if they're lucky, maybe they absorb 100, maybe they absorb maybe 10% of that, say 2,000 milligrams. Okay. My concern is what happens to the other 90%. Usually what ends up being kidney stones or arthritic. So to have the comfortability to know that I can take X amount, not as much as I'm told by other people or other doctors or other companies, and I'm going to get total absorption, it's much more comfortable. So I talked a little bit, I think a little bit about this, about the power cocktail. Basically it's the same, and to me this is my baby because I love it because it has a little less niacin. So you guys that like that red face look, you can take the Activize. I like to take the power cocktail.
I believe it's called the Activize Sensitive.
I am, that's me.
You are. The ingredient.
It's a flower.
Absolutely.
Activize
instead of flour.
Thank you very much. Respirate. Okay, I love minerals. I absolutely love minerals. Our body can live without vitamins. It cannot live without minerals. We need minerals desperately. And what a way to get, again, the NTC process. And again, we're getting calcium. Calcium needs magnesium. Excuse me. It needs some zinc. It needs definitely vitamin D3. Copper is important. So we're getting my trace minerals and we're getting my major minerals, calcium, magnesium. And we know magnesium is great for cramping. Charlie horses, you guys have had those? I've had those and they don't feel nice. So take extra magnesium. And the rest we want to take at nighttime. So for the little ones, you know, depends how little they are, they can do like maybe like 1 scoop. Us big people take 3 scoops. Okay. If you're going to the gym like I do, what I'll do is, besides taking the other different things that I talk about, and we'll talk about, I'll take some Restorate too, because I want to bring back some of the minerals that I've depleted in my body. I'm working on, especially I'm doing a lot of cardio.
It's got hair on there, it grows your hair back too?
No.
I gave this lecture, you said something, I gave this lecture in New York City many years ago about another supplement, and it's a really great supplement, it's still around. There's a little Chinese lady, she was way in the back over, and she raised her hand, she said, "Well, if it's so good, how come you don't have hair on your head?" And that was a good question, a good question. I ignored her.
What was the answer?
I ignored her.
You didn't give her an answer.
2 questions.
What are your thoughts around iodine being in supplements as it relates to thyroid issues and stuff like that?
Is that what you have?
No, but I've just talked to a couple people that have some challenges with that.
That they need iodine?
They do.
Seaweed, kelp, great source of iodine. There's a supplement called Iberol that's out there, but when I lived in California, they had the Fukushima meltdown. It was a huge thing in California, and people were running all over the place trying to find iodine. The seaweed and kelp, but then it's unhealthy because all the stuff's coming over from Japan, and a lot of that stuff did float over.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff did float over. I'm glad we left LA when we did.
Yeah, there's a lot they're not telling us about that whole
I
thing.
know.
We should go into that talk sometime at another time.
Do you have a question, my dear?
My question is, well, he's on dialysis, so he gets a lot of cramping.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this is supposed to be basically at night, but I mean, there are times like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he's just from after the dialysis.
Oh, you could take you know, you could take a couple.
Okay, and it also has caused neuropathy. Would this help with that as well? First of all, he fights me to take anything.
Uh-oh.
So I figure if you say something, maybe he'll listen.
Anybody hear anything?
Just a thought.
How about we talk afterwards?
Okay.
We'll talk afterwards. So to be able to get the minerals that we need, the magnesium, insomnia for the little ones, especially with ADD or ADHD, the Restorate is great. Minerals are really, really important. They're absorbed on the cellular level. We're given the right amount of calcium, given the right amount of magnesium. Potassium is important. It also helps create the alkalinity in the body. There's another book I wrote about, acid alkalinity. That pH is really important. Most of us are very acidic for a whole bunch of different reasons. So if we can alkalize our body, we also have the NTC process. Dr. Kuna told me, I don't know if he told you guys, maybe I shouldn't tell you, because I know more than you know. Because you know more than I know, and he knows less.
Maybe knows that.
Lorianne knows all.
Ah! When somebody takes the basic in the morning and the Restorate at night, it keeps the NTC floating throughout the 24 hours.
Yep.
You knew that? He told me that was a secret. Oh. All right, never mind. Yeah.
So the standard flow that people would take the basics in the morning and then activize, and then I believe what I heard is it works for 6 to 8 hours. Is that correct? So I know, for example, Vinny will go ahead and take, he said based upon his higher protein diet, he'll go ahead and take the basics and activize a couple of times a day. My question is, if you do take it a couple of times a day, because because it is a denser, the absorption rate's higher, can you take too much?
So if you're asking me if he takes it twice a day, is that too much?
Or 3 times?
No, twice a day is okay, 3 times. I mean, if you're doing 6 or 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that, I would say you're probably wasting your money. But if you take it a couple, 3 times a day, it's okay. Because there's sometimes I'll take an extra power cocktail, depending what I'm doing in the afternoon. So, you know, it's
See,
okay.
and then the absorption for the water-soluble vitamins, there's not that accumulative effect like with the potential with fat soluble.
Yeah,
So you're okay.
Because they go in and out of our system real fast.
I got a quick question. Okay, I'm not taking this right here, real school. But you're saying it helps your sleep. Only thing I'm taking is what came in the beginning.
Activise.
Okay, so I think I was overdosing on it because I was taking a little. Well, hey, I don't read no. Listen, you sell something to somebody.
Why would
you
you
say
read the
you try this.
instructions on the
Why
can?
would you read the instructions?
That's stupid.
Okay?
Who does that?
So anyhow, listen. Anyhow.
We're on film, you know.
Oh, that's okay. So I don't have a hard time sleeping,
Okay.
and that's why I was asking about this. But when I sleep, my sleep patterns, I mean, when I hit it, I'm gone.
Mhm.
But then I'm up 3 hours, 4 hours later, I'm ready to go a whole nother day. So when I was taking this right here, I just figured out it's detoxifying me. Because when I was a kid, every one of you guys remember this. Always look at your poop. My mom told me that. And you know what's going out of you, what's went in you. So I figured, today I just figured, because I was working out for that one week, and I was putting too much in my 1 liter. I was supposed to put 2 scoops in there, I guess. I was putting like 5 or 6 in there.
Of the Activise?
Wait, you were
Yeah.
doing 10 scoops of Activise a day?
No, I was doing 5, 6. Anyhow.
Oh, no,
I was-
there's nothing wrong with that.
But I'm saying, but when I slept, I went to sleep
Oh, it went
4
down.
hours. And, if I put this in my system, will that add more to the sleep?
How about the fact that it's going to give you maybe a little deeper sleep and more relaxation?
Oh no, you can move the house
Okay.
when I go to sleep.
Please don't focus just on the sleep pattern.
Okay.
The ability that you're getting calcium and magnesium. I mean, us guys need this for our heart, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm not as young
it's
as I
not
used
just
to be.
it's not just the ladies that need the calcium and magnesium and the rest of it. Us guys need that too for our heart, and we need to have the various different. The trace minerals are important. Copper is really important. Here's something really interesting. It's a little bit off what you're talking about. I might as well bring this up. Remember when the copper bracelets came around?
Yes.
No, they still got
Wearing
the bands, copper
bracelets?
bands, and knee
Well, they've
bracelets.
changed them. They changed it now from the copper bracelets. What was
Yeah.
happening was that a lot of the guys were being deficient in zinc. Guy wants to get his wife pregnant, okay, low sperm count because low amount of zinc, and that's when I would recommend higher zinc. And there's a connection with that. Women that were using IUDs in the olden days, there's a deficiency in the trace mineral there. So it's important not to get caught into taking these certain things. So to put copper back into our bodies is very, very important. I saw the Copper Johnny or whatever those things are called. I saw them advertised on TV, and all of a sudden I saw a different ad. They're now, one company is now combining copper and zinc. They got smart.
Yeah.
They got smart. Because probably what these guys from the other companies were taking these copper, whatever they are, you wear, it's too much. They're realizing that you gotta put the zinc back in the body. So these are important. These are important. How are you doing on time?
Entirely up to you, how everybody, wants to respond or just.
So very quickly, zinc strengthens the immune system, we know. Build up the sperm count, that's the way for zinc. Chromium stabilizes the blood. For diabetics, chromium is good. If somebody's a pre-diabetic, chromium is very, very essential. Iron, selenium, copper I talked about, calcium, minerals. So Restorate, I mean, I love that product, I absolutely love that product.
Can you take it in the morning to help alkalize your body?
You can.
Not necessarily a full dose, but if you took that a couple times a day, throughout the day.
There's other ways of alkalizing the body. I still would go back, unless you're coming back from the gym and you want to replenish the minerals, do it that way. But I really like it at the nighttime because that's when the body is taking most of the nutrients in. But there's other ways to alkalize the body too.
I know that, but
There's,
just questioning.
in Europe,
Sure.
well, Jerry, it's a good question, because in Europe, what a lot of the athletes do is they'll take Activise about 15 minutes prior to a workout, or any type of rigorous workout, and about 15 minutes afterwards, they'll take the Restorate. And they'll do this over the course of the day, depending on what they're doing relevant to their workouts.
And
So that's very athletically driven though, and it's for that reason.
they take their aminos with their Activise 15 minutes, then their aminos with the Restorate as well.
Yeah.
Is what
I
they'll
do that
do.
as well.
I do my
Yeah.
Activise as I do my workout. For the water, I was drinking that.
They have fitness
Activise.
drinks.
Well, we have something better than that for you.
Yeah, we'll talk.
There you, pumped already, pumped already. This one is about CoQ10. You know, if there's any hard history in the family, CoQ10 is very important. Omega-3s is very important. Vitamin E is very important, and the heart duo, which we'll talk in a couple of minutes. For the skin, a lot of skincare products today have CoQ10 in them. So again, we have the ability of the NTC to break down the fat solubles, so we get better absorption. I'm going to talk more about this. Why is it important for us to have omega-3s? Okay, omega-3s are your anti-inflammatories, sort of like curcumin. And I talked about this when I was in Cleveland last time. I wrote several articles about inflammation, and I wrote several articles about anti-inflammation. And what happens is that we've taken too much omega-6s. Omega-6 could be through flaxseed, could be through the grains that we eat, could be from the animals that we eat because they're being fed grain. And omega-6s are inflammatory. They're the ones that tell us there's something going on with the body when we get a boo-boo. And I mentioned earlier about the itis, which is inflammation. Let's say arthritis, inflammation of the joint. So there's a fire going on, and omega-6, what it does, it just continues that fire going on. We don't take in enough, us Americans, we don't take in enough omega-3s. And omega-3s is your anti-inflammatory. So the body is telling us, hey, there's a problem going on, you know, the joints are inflamed, what are you going to do about it? And because we take more omega-6s, it just keeps that fire going. And I think the ratio when I wrote the article was like 20 to 1. We take 20 times as much omega-6s to only 1 omega-3s. So the balance is way, way out. And we need to break that down to maybe 3 to 1, maybe even 2 to 1. So taking more of the omega-3s through the fit line, the fish oil, again with the NTC process because it's broken down, we now are able to get that anti-inflammatory going in. Of course, if we want to really help ourselves, maybe we need to reduce somehow the omega-6s coming in. And if we're doing something with the gluten-free, this is a good way to help eliminate some of the omega-6s. You know, there's some products out there that'll have omega-3, 6, and 9. But we need to get that ratio down, so allow the omega-3 to come in as an anti-inflammatory. We're also going to have it in the basic or the power cocktail with the curcumin, the other benefit too, as with inflammation with omega-3. The other thing too is that part of the DHA and the EPA, one helps with the heart, the other one helps with the brain. And if there's anything that we want to help, particularly if we're talking about ADD, special needs, omega-3s is really, really important because the DHA and the EPA is going to help with that. So I love when they have the heart duo, if that's the next one. This one. Because I know for me, on both sides of my family, there's history of heart problems. So I'm going back to the preventive medicine. So I'm going to take my basics, I'm going to take my power cocktail, I'm going to take my Restorate, and then I'm also going to be taking my heart duo because it's giving me for my heart the protection of the CoQ10, the omega-3s, and the vitamin E. Yes, sir?
Yeah. The omega-3 works very well with the ORP and the alkaline because it goes into the the vein itself. Cool.
John, can you use some water, please?
Yeah, and I do have a question though. If you're taking the blood thinner, things like that, some of the doctors say that you should not be taking omega-3.
No. Somebody had emailed me that. If anything that has vitamin K in it, like ginkgo biloba has vitamin K. Your different greens like wheatgrass, alfalfa grass, they have vitamin K. Thank you. Somebody from Cleveland, did they? Because somebody had emailed me the other day and I thought they were coming.
No, it was just my dad had partial knee surgery done, or knee replacements, and the doctor told him to not take omega-3 while he's on the blood thinner. He just brought that up to me this morning.
I never heard that.
Yeah, and most of it, warfarin is something that if someone has congestive heart failure, they start getting pooling in the ventricle, the bottom part of the ventricle of their heart. So they, unfortunately, in warfarin, as the doctor knows, is rat poison, all right? But put into a pill form. So, and it's very touchy at times, of course, because they're going in and they're going in to what they call a prothrombin test, where they check to see how thin the platelet count and see how thin the blood is getting. The reason why they use it with people that have congestive heart failure, or the heart is not pumping up to its full potential, is so it doesn't, the pooling blood in the ventricle of the heart doesn't create a clot that then could end up giving them a stroke, okay? So then that's why they want people not taking vitamin K to thin it out further. And then, of course, like the doctor mentioned, sometimes they mention omega-3s, which I agree with the doctor, there's real no problem with it. But from a medical legal point of view, sometimes it's a touchy subject, and of course we don't want to continue to live our lives in fear or related to, what can happen with some of those things. So even as a distributor, it's very important, because it's a great question that you came up with. And that's many times they want them to get all the stuff. The other thing is too, is a lot of MDs, we're fortunate enough to have a naturopathic doctor up here, but they're a lot of them are brilliant people, but they're as good as the information that they're taught with, right? And unfortunately they're not well versed in it, and in a lot of ways they live in fear every day in their practice, especially when it comes to supplements, because they can't really speak on it because they know very little about it, and of course they're all worried about getting sued.
Yeah.
But that's where that comes from, and unfortunately, a lot of people, when you talk about a blood thinner, unfortunately the warfarin is the thing that a lot of these people are on, and now the other factor that happens, is that you've got these people taking, diuretics, for every medication they're taking, and I don't want to take away from anything, there's a drug, or there's a nutrient depletion related,
Right.
There's a drug-induced nutrient depletion. So if someone's on blood pressure medication, we know they need to replenish their electrolytes, right? Oral contraceptives create depletions in the B vitamins. So every time there's any, and as we know, the majority of the people are on some form of a medication. So this is why your products are so great, because then they can replenish everything or replete everything that's being depleted, so yeah, so I mean, I don't want to, but that's where that came from.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and so I'll stop with that, but
I've had phone calls from oncologists, for example, through the years, and they'll say, okay, I know chemo and radiation is destroying the body, or interfering for hepatitis. What do you recommend? What do you suggest? And I'll tell them. And then I've had just the opposite, where somebody will call me, a distributor will call me and say, well, your doctor says not to take this stuff, it's going to kill me. And there's this conversation, and that's why I say, for the distributors and for people that you're going to be talking to, get to know them, get to be comfortability. And I'm always open for a phone call or an email. I tell these people, I say, have your doctor call me, which they don't. And sometimes, though, people will just, I'll give them the reassurance that it's okay to take this because it's nice and clean, it's not going to affect the medication. Now, questions nobody's asked, can I take medication with my products? Absolutely not. I've always been the advocate of a half an hour, 45 minutes either before, or half an hour, 45 minutes afterwards. And the main reason is because we have this beautiful NTC process that's working with us, and if we take it, it may bring the medication in too soon, too fast.
And I would maybe ask for one show of hands real quick, how many people know someone that's on a statin drug, like Lipitor or whatever? Raise your hand. Because all the doctors are out there having everybody on statins, right? And guess what the biggest statin depleter is of coenzyme Q10, which is the most important nutrient for all the muscles, including the heart. Statin drugs, right? So everyone on a statin drug should be taking your CoQ10 product.
Also, people are taking medication for Parkinson's.
Try to get off of it, but
Already did, 2 weeks.
no, but I'm saying if they're taking it, they need to be taking your CoQ10, because a lot of people aren't just going to get off their meds, but it would be great to get them there. But go ahead and just.
Well, I was just going to mention with CoQ10, the Parkinson's disease is another one too. medication that they're on depletes their CoQ10. So the fact that you can put them on the CoQ10 and they don't have to take a gazillion capsules, they would be very grateful. In fact, they can take just a small amount, you know, with the drops. Okay, so let's go on with the pro-shaped amino acids. When Greg first introduced this to me, I started looking up and I go, okay, I know there's a certain ratio, and there's a lot of confusion. You go to bodybuilding.com and they're talking 5 to 1, 7, actually 5, 1, 1, 6, 1, 1. And where we need to have is like, I'm talking about the branched chain amino acids, the BCAAs, 1.5 to 1 to 1, which is a great combination. And more is not better. And somebody had sent me an email in regards to a product they were taking. And this is why I'm so impressed with the FitLine. They were using a proprietary process of the BCAAs. They added a little glutamine, they added a little creatine to it. And then I read the other ingredients. And it was garbage. And they asked me, you know, what I thought. And I responded by saying yuck. I mean, it had FDC color to the capsule, it had fillers to it, it had anything to make that capsule big enough. Here we have, that's totally clean, there isn't any additives, there isn't any preservatives, there isn't any other factors. And let me mention this too before I forget to. Does anybody have any supplement bottles on them that belong to another company? Anybody carry any?
Don't you stand in this room if you
Because if you look under,
Jerry.
That's pro-shaped.
Oh.
if you look under most of the supplement bottles, it'll say, usually in black words, you know, this product has been processed in a plant that has soy, wheat, dairy, okay?
Smart.
And this doesn't say it. It doesn't say it at all. In my book, I talk about cross-contamination. And we think, I go to a restaurant and they say, I want a gluten-free toast. So we get our gluten-free toast. How do we know that it wasn't cut with a knife, that somebody just cut a piece of bread? And that's cross-contamination. When we go to a restaurant, we order something, we're thinking it's going to be gluten-free. Or we buy a product, and then all of a sudden we look at the product or the supplement, and it says, this is made, a process made in, you know, a plant that doesn't, or has the process of like wheat, dairy, soy. The FitLine products do not have that, so you're getting 100% exactly what you need.
Is that part of the importance of the GMP facility?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
Can you tell me why a doctor might say not to be on Restorate if you have continual kidney stones?
Because you didn't know my crab. Really, I mean,
Well, I think Dr. Markham actually had a very good answer to
Sure.
that. You only know what you know. If you don't, you know, and I'm not answering you, I'm answering everybody. Doctors only know what they know. If they have never been introduced to it, then obviously they have no,
They're only as good as what's in their tool chest. And
they're given a
knowledge.
4-hour class. They're given a 4-hour class in all the years in medical school on nutrition. And what they're educated is by their patients coming in, or usually the pharmaceutical companies come in and say, oh doc, you know, this is from Upjohn or Lilly or whatever, we have this new 1-a-day type of thing which it has whatever, so they go by that. But otherwise, we need to educate them. We need to educate them. You know, I've had people that have read my books and recommended products, and they'll go to their doctor, and sometimes the doctor say, I don't know what you're taking, but keep doing it. I don't want to hear about it, but just keep doing it because it's working on you. Particularly when it comes to type diabetes and the diabetes and the glucose numbers come down and go, I don't want to hear about it, don't tell me what you're taking, but it's working, so keep taking it. And that's usually the younger generation.
Now, when you mentioned soy, you did mention it.
Yeah.
I have a daughter who's studying nutrition and she's gonna get a degree in that. So at my house, they came and cleaned my house out and said, don't eat this stuff. This one got me busted one day because something we ate. My point though, I understand from reading a book from George Washington Carver that the soy was not meant for man to digest at all because the soy is linked to a cancerous growth or could make cancer grow or something inside of you. How do you I guess maybe persuade people to understand what we're doing is taking you away from that. Because right now, the marketing is, you want soy milk,
Sure.
you want soy
Sure.
oil and all this soy, and now you're gonna absorb it in your body, which now you're putting junk in your body.
There's a great book out, hopefully it's still around, maybe on Amazon. I wrote the foreword to this book for this woman called The Whole, WHOLE, Soy Story.
Okay.
In my ADD book, I so emphatically scream and yell, no soy. Very quickly, unfermented soy, the body has a very difficult time breaking it down because it's missing the protease enzyme. But let's add even make it even worser. Is that a word? Worser?
Sure.
I use it all the time.
Is what, 90%, 95% of the soy grown in the United States is GMO?
Right.
So even if they don't want to believe that, and they'll go to a health food store, and they'll probably say non-GMO, they'll probably say non-GMO soy. Okay? So when the tofu that's in it, that's unfermented soy. Okay? It's usually in a water-based. My concern is what's the water, where's their source? Now there's fermented soy, like miso or tempeh. That's okay. That's okay. But unfermented soy is very difficult for the body to digest. There's a lot of food allergies towards this, a lot of sensitivities towards that. For years, I see at health food stores, and they're selling tofu turkeys and all this soy. And you know, I try to mind my own business, but I've seen a lot of mothers buy soy milk for the little ones. And I say, okay, she's probably telling me to go to hell, but I'll go say it anyways. And I'll say something, and sometimes they listen, sometimes most of the time they ignore me. You know, their doctor said that soy milk was okay.
They also say to vaccinate too, but.
All right.
That's a whole.
So that's my thing with unfermented soy. You know, to stay away from it. Even to stay away from dairy. Almond milk, there's sugar-free almond milk today.
Coconut milk.
Coconut milk is fine. I think coconut milk and coconut oil and coconut water is a big hype. That's just my opinion. So I'll be quiet with that. Fitness drink. You notice my man over there was drinking a little bit of the good stuff. This is a great product. I mean, I've been screaming and yelling for years that Gatorade and Powerade and whatever else is out there, AIDS, is just loaded with well, it's going to have sugar in it, but it's going to be loaded with chemicals in it, preservatives, so it can have shelf life. It's going to have the FTC colors, and there's a huge thing about, if you want to learn about neurotoxins, excitotoxins, Dr. Benjamin Feingold in the late 70s wrote a whole thing about FTC colors and what it does, increases the body, particularly children. That's also in my ADD book. So to come out with a product, a one-package product, as opposed to having a bottle of before, during, and after, and to have the various different sugar forms that go into the body quickly. When we first take, let's just say, for example, we're going to do a 45-minute strenuous workout. Now, is this for everybody during the day? Absolutely not. I'm not a believer of drinking these drinks if I'm just going to be doing a casual day or for the kids or anything like that. If I'm going to the gym and I'm going to do a lot of cardio or play tennis or play racquetball, I played a lot of racquetball for a lot of years, so that's strenuous. So I need to get my energy, I need to get my electrolytes, I need to get my minerals, I need to get my carbs. So the fact that I can do this three-phase, so let's say 45 minutes. So I'm going to take maybe a third of my drink within 15 minutes. And hopefully we're going to take this little package and we're going to use good filtered, purified alkaline water, hopefully, instead of just regular tap water, if possible. And that amount of sugar is going to kick in to give me that energy. And then I'm going to take another 15 minutes and I'm going to drink another, say, 6 ounces. So say it's an 18-ounce container, another 6 ounces. So the other forms of sugar are going to slowly go ahead and give me a little more energy. And then when I get done at the end of the 45 minutes, I'm going to drink my last third. And the amount of sugar that's used is going to give me, replenish the glycogen in my liver, because I need to replenish them. So it's going to give me my electrolytes, it's going to give me my minerals, it's going to give me my carbs for that energy. So for the little ones that are playing, Rosemary, Mike's not here, you guys know Rosemary in Tennessee? She has gone to some of the private schools and talked to, this is smart, and talked to the football coach and the basketball coach and the baseball coach. And the coaches now starting to bring it for the kids to drink the fitness drink, because what they were doing before is just drinking the Gatorade or Powerade or whatever And the coaches all love the fact that this is so clean and it's just perfect, and they don't have to carry on 3 bottles. Now, after I get done after 45 minutes, okay, I'm also gonna have, I bring my water, my beautiful FitLine container.